Hello everyone, we continue with Chapter 5, Part 2. The following day, I left a note for anyone who wondered where I'd gone and headed toward my old house in Edo. Hijikata had left long before me to meet with several of the members of the shogunate. No one had apparently visited the house in several years, and everything was covered in a thin layer of dust. Now, where would he keep his fury research? It must be somewhere hidden. I brushed some of the dust off a stack of documents and opened them up. Each one was covered in barely legible scribbling. It would take me forever to decipher them. No, this was nothing compared to what the rest of the Shinsengumi went through. I had to do it. Shoot, I guess that wasn't it either. I sat back on the floor and sighed heavily. How foolish I'd been to think I could just waltz into my house, find my father's secret documents, and solve a problem that had haunted the Shinsengumi for years. No, I couldn't give up. I had to keep trying. Sooner or later, I'd find something. Hijikata and Heisuke needed my help. I had to find something. Huh? As I flipped open a particularly thick sheaf of papers, a scrap fell out and landed on the floor. It appeared to be some kind of formula. Is this about the Furies? As I studied it, I realized what I'd found. The paper described a medicine that could suppress the bloodlust of a Fury and help keep them from losing control. The idea of Hijikata or Heisuke losing control was frightening, but I read on. It seemed that my father had returned to Edo just after I'd left for Kyoto. While he was in Edo, he'd mixed up the ingredients for the medicine. I looked over the instructions. The ingredients he'd used were likely still in the warehouse. With his instructions, I should be able to mix it myself. And with my father's medicine, I could save Hijikata, Heisuke, and Sanan. I ran to the warehouse and got to work. By the time I finished, night had already fallen. I remembered what Shimada had told me about how many murders there'd been at night lately and made sure to stick to busy streets as I made my way back to the Kama Inn. Oh! Just as I arrived, Sanan and Heisuke were leaving. Sanan? Oh, said Sanan, you're back rather late. It's dangerous out there, you know. You shouldn't be out at night all by yourself. I'm sorry. I meant to come back earlier, but I was so busy and I just kind of lost track of time and... Anyway, I've got something for you. I handed Sanan the medicine which I'd wrapped in a small piece of paper. What's this? Said Sanan. It's medicine to suppress the Fury bloodlust. I went back to my house today and found instructions for how to make it. It should make the pain go away. Sanan looked down at the paper I'd handed him, then back to me. Thank you, but no. Your gesture is appreciated, but not needed. Oh, wait, but without it you... You are not one of us, so to you the bloodlust might seem odd or wrong. However, the more one tries to suppress it, the greater the pain becomes. Bit by bit, it will chip away at your sanity. This medicine would be a minor reprieve, nothing more, said Sanan. But... Excuse me, I must leave for patrol. Good night. Ah! Before I could protest, he was gone, walking briskly down the darkened street. Without the medicine, what would Sanan do when the bloodlust came? Oh, no! I remembered what Kimigiku had said to us back at the Fushimi magistrate's office. Then are you aware that the Shinsengumi's furies have been murdering people on the street to test their strength? No, it couldn't be. It was the Shinsengumi's job to protect Kyoto and its citizens. Surely Sanan wouldn't attack people on the street just to satisfy his thirst for blood? Hey, Chizuru, I'll take that. Can I have it? Said Todo. Oh, yes, of course. I handed him the packet Sanan had so recently refused. He stuffed it into his pocket as he stared off down the street at Sanan's rapidly retreating back. I'm going to go on patrol with him. If he does something weird, I'll stop him, said Todo. So don't worry, all right? I was more transparent than I thought, it seemed. All right, I'm counting on you, Heisuke. Oh, right. Where's Hijikata? Is he back yet? Yeah, he came back earlier in the evening, but he locked himself in his room and he hasn't poked his head out since. Oh, I'm going to go check on him then. Heisuke and I said our quick goodbyes, and I made my way into the Kama Inn and up to Hijikata's room. Hijikata, are you there? I've got something for you. Nothing. I was about to turn away, assuming he was asleep, when... Gah! The voice was clearly in pain. Hijikata, I'm coming in. I threw the door open and ran into the room. He was bent over on top of his desk at the back of the room. Sweat poured down his face, and I could hear his teeth squeak horribly as he gritted them. Hijikata, are you okay? You idiot, just shut up. But this'll pass any time now. Don't get all worked up over nothing. He wrapped his arms around his shoulders and squeezed until his knuckles turned white as he glared up at me. His breath came in pants and he shivered as if he had a fever. It was Hijikata's personality to refuse to show any pain or even any emotion at all, or at least to show as little as possible. For him to be like this, the pain must have been unimaginable. Was this the bloodlust that Heisuke had spoken of? What was I supposed to do? If he drank the medicine my father had created, then the pain would likely go away, but Sanan had said it would only be a temporary solution. Then, should I give him some of my blood? Would Hijikata even want me to give him my blood? What was I going to do? And I have a choice. 3 options. Give him blood, give him medicine, make him endure it. Well, this is a tricky one. It's either blood or medicine. She clearly doesn't have a lot of faith in the medicine doing very much. We'll try and give him some blood because that's really the only way to cure his pain. So let's go with that option. There was no time to waste. It wasn't the best plan, perhaps, but I couldn't bear to see him in pain any longer. And besides, at long last, I would finally be useful. I said nothing and drew the kodachi I kept at my waist. Hey, what the hell is this? I slid my finger along the edge of the blade. I barely even felt it. A bead of thick blood formed over the cut. Please drink my blood. It'll make you feel better, right? What the hell? I can't do that. His clothes were drenched in sweat and he shook like a leaf in the wind. I couldn't back down. This was my chance to do something for him, to make a difference. But perhaps most importantly, I just couldn't watch him suffer anymore. Don't worry about me, please. Though he tried desperately not to, his eyes were drawn to my finger, to the thick red blood that slowly beaded up and dropped. His teeth ground and his hands flexed, but he couldn't resist. It was only moments before he gave in. You're an idiot. A girl shouldn't cut herself up. No man's gonna want to marry a girl covered in scars. Then he took my hand and licked the blood from my finger. I felt the soft caress of his tongue as it ran the length of the cut, and then the soft pressure of his teeth and lips as he sucked gently, drawing a few more drops out and into his mouth. I'll be fine. I'm a demon. I heal really fast. Doesn't matter, demon or not. You're still a girl. His breathing had already begun to calm itself. Through his hand on my wrist I could feel his shaking subsiding as well. At last, I thought, I was able to be useful. A few moments later his hand slipped from my wrist. The cut on my finger had already healed. I'm sorry for being so, forward. No. He took a quiet breath and shook his head. This isn't the time to be pretending that I'm fine. I know that. If I want to make sure Kondou wins, then I don't have a choice. I have to become a monster. Absently I touched my fingers to the wrist Hijikata had taken when he drank my blood. I almost thought I could still feel his warmth there. Even after the events of that night, Hijikata pushed himself just as hard as before and visited the shogunate officials whenever he could find the time. Eventually his work began to pay off, and the Shinsengumi were given one of the Hatamoto mansions to use as their headquarters. I knew he had to be in miserable condition between his demanding schedule and fury-related difficulties, but he was determined to give Kondou his war. That thought alone seemed to sustain him and drive him forward. Perhaps the gods took pity on him. My apologies for worrying you, said Isami Kondou. It was some time later that Kondou finally made an appearance, seemingly completely healed. I never thought being kept away from the fighting for so long would be this frustrating. Had our foes forced their way in, I was prepared to fight them no matter my condition, but I suppose that's beside the point now. I'm sure you're all wondering what's next. First, we'll head to Kofou. We've been ordered to ambush the Imperial Army. The shogunate's given us 2 cannons, a number of small arms, and funding. As he began to lay out the details of the plan, I saw his eyes twinkle with excitement. In anticipation of their success on this mission, Kondou and Hijikata had both been given promotions. Nagakura and Harada, however, seemed less than pleased with this turn of events. "Hey, Kondou," said Nagakura, "who came up with the idea of having us guard Kofou?" It was Awanokami Katsu. Why, is that a problem?" asked Kondou. "I've heard a lot of rumours about this Katsu guy," said Nagakura, "and not good stuff. He's famous for being a pacifist. Why would somebody like that give us cannons and money to go to war?" "Besides," said Harada, "I've heard that the shogun himself is perfectly willing to just go along with whatever the new government army wants. You don't think Katsu feels the same way?" Kondou frowned. "Nagakura, Harada, these are direct orders from the shogunate," said Kondou. "It's true that the shogun isn't publicly defying the new government army, but that's because his situation isn't ideal. However, if we can protect Kofou, then perhaps he'll think that the shogunate actually has a chance to win this war, and he'll put his full resources behind it." And Kofou Castle is the castle that defended Edo along Tosando, the eastern mountain road. "This isn't just a matter of winning or losing," said Kondou. "The men in charge are recognizing our hard work by saying that we are a force skilled and dedicated enough to defend Kofou. Isn't our duty as warriors, then, to give all we can to this fight? Don't you agree, Nagakura?" "You're really gonna try and gloss over it like that?" said Nagakura. "I'm a captain of the Shinsengumi, but I'm not your retainer." Kondou looked upset, but Harada spoke up before he could say anything. Hey, Saito, what's your take on all this?" "I will do whatever the chief and the commander order me to do," said Saito. All eyes turned to Hijikata. Well, we should round up some more men if we are gonna go to war with the Imperial Army," said Hijikata. "If we do good at Kofou, I'm sure the shogunate will send us some reinforcements. As far as Awanokami goes, doesn't matter how much he hates war, I'm sure he knows that sometimes you can't avoid it. I mean, if the shogunate loses, then him and all the rest of the vassals are out of a job. I don't think they'd want us to lose." "Yeah, I guess you got a point," said Nagakura. "Shall we head for the mountain near Kofou first and prepare for night raids?" asked Sanan. "Fury Corps isn't going this time," said Hijikata. "You're staying here." "Why?" said Sanan. "If the shogun does send us reinforcements, I can't afford to let them see you," said Hijikata. "Besides, there are going to be a lot more men at Kofou. You'll get spotted, and then what's the point of having a secret division?" But, said Sanan. "Hey, the war's just started," said Todo. "We shouldn't be in such a rush, Sanan." I saw Hijikata and Heisuke exchange a quick look. They must have realized how Sanan would react and talked it over beforehand. "All right then," said Kondou. "Everyone return to your rooms. We have some time before we leave, so make sure you get your affairs in order." That was that, and the captains departed to go brief their subordinates. Only Hijikata remained behind to begin sifting through the massive stacks of paper and maps. Hijikata, are you sure it'll be okay?
What will be okay?
This war's going to be difficult, isn't it? Wouldn't it have been better to take the Fury Corps along?
Oh, that.
He sighed and set down the map he'd been studying.
Remember when Sen warned us about the Furies killing people?
Yes.
Well, I think it might have been Sanan.
What?
The Fury Corps is our trump card, but I can't have them murdering people in the streets to satisfy their bloodlust. During Toba Fushimi, they used silver bullets on the Fury Corps, which made them essentially useless.
And silver apparently somehow counteracts the healing power of the Furies.
Until we can figure out how to counteract the silver problem, I need to have Sanan stay here. Heisuke will keep an eye on him. We might also need them to go collect arms for a counterattack.
A counterattack? Then he was even planning for a possible loss at Kofou?
This next fight is going to be a big one. We probably shouldn't take you, but if I leave you here, Kazama might decide to try and snatch you again. Leaving you in the company of the Furies is a bad idea too. So I'm taking you with us, but you watch yourself and you stay out of trouble. I tell you to jump, you say how high. Got it?
Okay. I could feel a nervous knot forming in my stomach, but Hijikata had to have a far greater case of nerves than I did.